Tá, cheque é 8, né?
Fica aí na cheque.
Sim, cai cheque.
Atrás.
3.
Já é.
É.
3.
Tá, tens em 3. Tá, eu vou pro 3.
Corpo de
Tá,
3.
não é o tudo em 3.
Tá, tem um trejinho absurdo no 3, tá, guys? É aquele trejinho monstro.
sim.
É, main 3,
Sim,
3.
E também tens em 1.
Tá, ele me viu.
Tá, eu tô detrás da main. Tens em 4 também. Tem 4, 1, main, 3 e 3. Tem que fazer 3 direito, ó. Dupla 3.
Tá. Vamos pegar o 3 então, guys? Só tem espaço pra 2 pessoas.
Sim, pega você e switch. Vai procurar ruim se é que tem. Tá, tem ruim.
Tá, achei o Ruin tá aqui no 9.
Tá. Já tô cedo. Ele é melhor que a Fulho?
Vai ganchar, não sei, mano. Não sei dizer. Ele vai ganchar na tora.
Tá, eu vou pegar um.
Agora.
Tá, tem um daí também. Onde é o Hex 9?
Ah, 4, tá brigando 4.
O Hex você viu que a Fulho é 9?
9, umas pedras.
Tá, ele tá voltando.
Tá, eu tô no G no 3, mano.
Ele tem aquele trick ridículo, 3, nem.
Talvez ele blinque em mim.
Tem um 4. Tem Gen 5
Blink em
também.
mim. Não, voltou.
Não, voltou. Tá com o link segurado, entre o gen e
Tá, eu vou ficar no Gen,
Tá,
mano.
eu tô
Preciso salvar.
Eu tô fazendo Hex.
Tá. Eu tô agressivando o Gen. Talvez ele queira o hit em mim agora, talvez.
Pera, eu tô indo agora pra você. Tá cheio. Ele tem que voltar.
Veio.
Tá.
Tomei o hit.
Cai em cima, Phenom, sim.
Sim. Eu acho que ele me guiva.
Voltou. Vai para a seita aí, Cafulho.
Tá, me ajuda no 3, manito?
Não, vai tirar ruim, vai tirar ruim.
Tá.
9. Estoy fazendo agora. Tá, não, tem 1, 4, main, 3, 5. E acho que já. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sim, acho isso. Tá, eu tenho o Google Make It, Phenom. Posso curar você
aí.
aí.
Tá, 3, Gen do 3. Vou poupar.
Tá, tô indo. Vai, Cafulho.
Não tem em cima, Café.
Vai pra cheque depois.
Tá. Tá, pega 3. Pega 3 aí, Phenom.
Tá, Switch, você tem qual Gen?
Ele tá 1.
Tá, o trejinho era 1.
Eu acho que...
Era um 4 main, então vai ficar um 2, 3 agora. Tô fazendo 3.
Sim, pega 3, você e o Switch tem que pegar 4.
Ele não vou popar um agora.
Então
não
vai ficar.
não base, não
É um 4,
é
Switch.
tora.
Não, na verdade mudou o trejinho. Tem um no meio do mapa ainda. É main building, 4 e meio do mapa.
Blinkou 4 switch, 4.
Tá. Pega minha info.
Tá, Switch, se leva aqui, vai ir para... Comitão?
Não.
Tá. Eu vou tentar falar dele.
Pra onde que eu vou?
Heartbeat 3. Heartbeat 3.
3, tá 3.
Vai vir, deixa eu ver. Não.
Tá segurando o não.
Blicou de volta, flicou.
Tá.
Tá.
Peguei o Gen.
Qualquer coisa você vai achar, Switch, tá?
Tá.
Tá atrás da tora.
Tá, eu não vou soltar o Gen se ele vir aqui, manito, pra você salvar.
Sim.
Tá aqui campando full. Tá andando até o 4, não voltou. Tá aqui
Eu
campando
não
full.
solto também.
Só diz a troca, eu vou subir de
Tá,
novo.
sim. Eu tenho um break all.
Ok. Se conseguir base, ou cair muito no canto, perfeito, a gente popa.
Tá
Switch, me quer picar? Assim eu não sem break all?
Switch, levanta ele?
Tá. Eu levanto.
Tá, e tenta ficar stealth, Switch.
Tá.
Um pouco.
Meu Deus, meu jogo tá...
Enganchou base.
Tá, eu vou parar nada.
Meio do mapa. Perdi visão.
Tá, stealth eu não consigo ficar porque ele me viu de longe.
Tá. Vai para Shaq. Ele tá indo para 4, sim.
Ficou 4, eu vou ter no blink dele, tá?
Tá, peguei Shaq.
Tá, eu vou em main.
Não tem info mais.
É, Shen 5, Shaq, 4 e main.
Chutou, deu pop 4.
Tá, então eu vou ficar no 4 mesmo, se tem dele. A gente joga dupla 4.
Talvez ele me ache aqui, tá?
Tá, onde você tá?
Tá.
No 4.
Tem um coração no Shaq.
Tá, peguei o Gen, ele tá no 7,
Eu vou pra onde? Tô indo pro 1.
3. Trai uma forte.
Tá,
tranquilo.
Tô indo pro 1, depois eu vou pro 3.
Tá.
Foi em você, Switch?
Tá bem.
Ficou em você.
Mitou?
Tá.
Vai para dupla 4, Phenom.
Sim, eu já tô no 4.
Tá, errou. Tem 3.
Olhou pra mim, comentou em você, Switch.
Tá meio, tem 3.
Tá no dupla 4. Switch.
Só cai longe que a gente pode.
Liga lá, tá?
Tá. Ok, comentamos.
Ele tá indo 4 pelo 2-5.
Tá, pega o gen lá em cima que vai dar merda aqui. A gente comita, mas acho que o Jason cai.
Eu tenho ele em bricol.
Tá, perfeito.
Tá chill. Comitou em você?
Em mim.
Em você, Phenom.
Em mim, subi full.
Pega mim, Switch?
Sim.
Tá. Posso curar você um... Ah, não, já ele vai jogar, já vai
Tá,
jogar.
fui check. Tô atrás da check. Ele tá me comitando. Talvez eu caia agora no 9.
Tá.
Caí na pallet do 9. Me pegou,
Tá,
tem um
check
gancho
tá
do meu
avançado,
lado.
tá?
Ele vai levar pro meio do mapa.
Vocês verem ele... É melhor sair daqui já, né?
Tá, ele
Não,
vai levar na Tora,
não.
Tora.
Não, fica aí,
Velho.
Switch. Mas eu tenho que ficar...
Eu te aviso.
Eu acho que é 5, Shaq e...
Andando pra Tower. Blink. Blinkando no gen, ele blinkou.
Errou.
Tá, o Jason me salva.
40. Sim, 40.
Fica em você, Switch?
Talvez. Não, tá comigo.
Tá.
Tá, vou pegar check, manito.
Check?
Sim.
Tá, eu vou cair no canto 3, tá?
Tá. Vou para sair por canto.
Tá, errou. Tô indo no 2, Jason, cuidado.
Tá.
Tô no cantinho do 2. Vai me pegar. Tá me levando... Vai me levar 3.
Tá, eu preciso de cal se ele vem pra cá pra eu stealthar.
Tá. Blink main, talvez, main. Não. Meio do mapa.
Quem tá, Phenom?
Vai subir pra mim, né?
Sim, tá
Ele
indo.
brinca 2-5.
Vai na info?
Sim, tô tentando stealthar.
Ele tá cá, pega chão.
Tá, peguei o
Ele
gen.
tá acá. Lo salve. Tá. Tengo el limbre con el coso switch.
Tá.
Comenta en mí. No, você.
Não tô comigo. Eu vou pro canto de novo, tá?
Tá. Tá, vamos tentar resetar 6. Oye, si puedo dupla popamos, Phenom.
Eu não sei, depende Não popa.
Não, mas deslogou dele. Pega o
Fica pra levantar ele. Fica pra levantar ele que eu vou stealthar.
Faz na gap.
Dale, procura, Phenom. Ah, sí,
Tá,
tá
eu
indo.
não tenho muitos lugares pra stealthar aqui, não.
Tá.
Ele tá sem hard terror ainda, não, Adam.
Sí. Ele tá 8-5.
Tá chegando aí já, provavelmente.
Tá, eu tô numa pedra com curva aqui, se olhar é mérito. Tá na check, tá pro 7, check na 7 e ele tá procurando muito. Vai procurar em todos os cantos de mapa.
Tá, eu curo full switch, tá? E depois você pega a mim.
Me achou.
Tá.
Eu tenho um bot no procure, mais rápido.
Eu já estou... Tá, cura. Um pouco.
Ele errou o blink.
Ah, tá, 70% switch.
Tá, o gen da check tá uns 50, tá, guys?
Switch, cuida. Joga para Shaq você. Joga para você e Phenom. Eu jogo para mim.
Blinkou na check, vai chutar o gen.
Tá.
Não tô vendo, animação do struggle. Não sei se ele saiu.
Tem info, switch?
Não.
Info? Não. Peguei main, mas eu não sei, não tenho info.
Não faço ideia onde ele
Eu também não sei.
Ele tá 5, switch.
Tá na frente da tower. Pode vir vindo, Switch. Ele tá olhando a passagem do 1-3. Ele acha que não passou pro save. Pode correr, Switch. Ele tá na frente da tower.
Por que você troca switch? Tem um coração main. Main, comigo.
Tá, a gente pega...
Pega a dupla insta.
Sim.
Tá, uno caído e canto. Eu tenho um break lá ainda, não sei se tá chique.
Vou gastar meu lich.
Eu tenho um bot no...
Ele errou.
Tá.
Se ele errar mais um blink no Jason, ele vai givar. Ah. Ele vai slogar?
Pick.
Tá, você vai dar dela insta, não?
Sim.
A
Pega o main já tá lançado também.
Tá, a gente não termina aqui, mas você pega main. Onde que é o gancho? Dependendo, a gente termina.
Ele demora um pouco. É um 5. Você popa, Nacho?
Eu acho que sim. Acho que sim.
Tá, eu tenho um porta 1.
Tá.
Tá insta dele.
Sim. Ele tirou o primeiro blink agora, tá 4-5 ele. Tirou o segundo. Tá, ele tirou os 2 blinks.
Usa
Tá,
o
a gente
lich na
popa.
pallet, Phenom.
Eu porta 1. Tá, estoy abriendo portão. 10%.
Tá, tô indo pro 9.
Eu vou pro canto.
Aham, fica no
Vai
7.
pro 9 vai pra lá. No Wizzle, eu acho.
É, tá te procurando, tá no. Me viu no 9, me viu no 9. Não sei pra onde ele blinkou. Cal?
Eu tô em portão. Tá aberto?
90, sí, 90%.
Tá, eu tô abrindo 9.
Vai para hatch, Phenom, talvez.
Botei hatch.
Eu abri.
Cal dele? Sai, se conseguir sai, se conseguir sai. Sai? Cal.
Talvez, ele tá com nós. Tá, eu vou fazer... Switch? Você não consegue
Acho
mover?
que você...
Ah, eu não ia curar, não. Sim, mas é que eu se eu curar, você não chega. Eu acho que se
Onde
eu
que é o
curar
gancho?
Inta aí...
Eu preciso de cal, gente, eu não tô entendendo nada.
Gancho.
Tá.
Ele tá batendo aqui na parede, tá no meio do mapa. Você passa, talvez?
Você pode ficar... O
Pode
switch
passar,
pode
eu
abrir.
acho. Eu não sei onde ele tá.
Para falar, não. Tenta dar aqui.
Passa.
Nice. Eu pensei que o switch se curava insta...
3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
Não,
8
é por
ganchos,
causa
foi isso?
Por causa do
Nove,
lag.
nove.
Se eu...
9? Tá.
Como?
É.
9. Por causa do gancho, se eu... Ou do gancho não, por causa do lag. Se eu boto pra frente, tipo, dá delay.
Dá.
Pra dar que eu soltei o R1, então talvez você não conseguisse me healar.
No, pero lo que yo quería hacer ahí, él le tiró a usted. Yo lo que quería hacer es ficar encima de usted, así él no podía picar. Pero yo no quería hacer heal tech insta, porque yo acho que si hacía heal tech insta ahí, igualmente uno no iba a hallar después.
To get some work done.
In this moment right now, hold on, Edgar. I need to quickly take care of something. Could you take this real fast?
Understandable. Anyway, so Autumn Sadness is going to be quickly going around, already finding the Nancy out in the open right here. There's only so much work that you can do around the edge of the map. Generally, that's the play against a nurse. Play the edge map, play your corners, play your cover. But with the first hit coming out onto Cafulio very, very quickly, it seems like, yep, and that's a down. Remember what we're talking about. Your margin for error against a nurse is just so unbelievably slim. And Autumn Sadness doing some wonderful work right now. Even using the sprint burst there was Cafulio. Feels like almost a cosmetic perk at the end of the day. Not doing a whole lot of anything. That being said, Survivors are at least taking some good initiative on the gens in the meanwhile. There is going to be some regression coming through there, and it seems like we're going to have to contend with the Survivors POV for a little bit. The spectator bug still very much in full force, but it's actually going to be really interesting to be seeing this from the Survivor perspective, how they choose to overcome this. That totem is going to be gone soon, so that is going to be the Ruin, I believe, which is going to be going down. Actually protected by the Undying, so not an issue for the time being. With Phenom actually being caught out here, we finally have Autumn Sadness' POV back on. So it wasn't just hard face camping. This is comp DVD, but it's not quite that bad, you know?
Yeah, and especially now that we're actually going to be looking at a quick chase now, Shaq. They do have a few tags on top of them. They also have Fragile Wheeze acting as substitute to Sloppy Butcher. But honestly, dude, these like bugs make this game so hard to watch real quick. However, it seems like everything is well and dandy, as now we're actually going to be seeing Cafulio going down. That is the Nancy. And now, unfortunately, running into the killer there to see if they can maybe die in a better spot. And also forcing DS here, which is actually a very smart decision. They're going to have an opportunity to keep running forward and maximizing their distance, using the edge map to their advantage. They are not going to be able to double back on top of that directly. So that is going to be unfortunate for the Nancy. As honestly, I probably would have stayed around that corner, expecting them to overblink that, obviously. But unfortunately for them, that is going to be the down, and not much time wasted. But that was a bit of time there. And I don't know if that's going to be enough for Genzo, because remember, we are crawling to the middle. They could wiggle out here. That is the second gen as well. Unfortunately, not going to be the case.
Fortunately, weeJason was the Deliverance survivor, and even though we know that having Deliverance increases your chances of being targeted first by about 50%, luckily weeJason seemed to avoid that fate, so is going to have that up when this game gets into its dying stages. Cafulio, to be honest, not likely going to be long for this world, no matter how long that they let him hang for, whether they go for the save at any time soon or not. Cafulio is just going to die. Simple as that. So if you're the survivors here, you want to do as much damage to the gens as possible, make life as difficult for Autumn Sadness before Cafulio goes down. That 1v3 is absolutely OP, even on weaker killers, it can, you know, change the prospect of the game completely. And on a killer like Nurse, well, it just guarantees your victory.
Looking at a 1-for-1 very fast here from weeJason. weeJason's actually not going to be hooked, meaning that we're going to be committing to Cthulhu for a while. Not going to be committing to that second blink, which is a very smart decision, as actually it seems like they're going to be running into basement to waste a lot more time. But unfortunately, no, not going to survive the blinks to run all the way down into basement. But they did make it no matter what, meaning that they are going to have to hook down here without risking of them wiggling out or them repositioning while they're trying to hook upstairs. Very smart decision there. And now Sinners is going to be in a slightly better spot, as they did end up picking weeJason up, so making this a fair 3v1. But it is a 3v1 at 3 gens, Edgar. This is not going to be easy at all.
Gonzalez does have his pop goes the Wizzle, but not quite going to the correct generator there. Finding one with some progress on it, but in the meantime, one across the map is going to be flying through. Instead, going to get the kick on here, and now you got to keep your eyes peeled. Who is it that you're going to find? Ideally, from the Autumn Sadness POV, you would find weeJason, that injured survivor, get him down nice and quick. But remember that weeJason does have the deliverance, so it's not like it's a massive deal. Actually, also going to have the will make it as well. So a very kind of evasive, kind of lone wolf sort of build from weeJason, which seems to kind of check out. Now Autumn Sadness is going to be finding the chase onto the K, but some nice juice coming out there from Sweet Child. More juice than an orange factory.
Definitely. I think right now, oh, that was a very, very good blink, but unfortunately they did hold that second blink, so that is going to be a bit of a mistake there. Right there is going to be a tag onto Sweet Child. Sweet Child is actually going to be running in towards the double window right now. This could be a 2-tap right here. Good double back, losing the sight of him, and another double back. The Sweet Child is going to completely lose Autumn Sadness, and Autumn Sadness is going to be leaving the chase to go over towards another gen, which is a very smart decision considering how good of a setup Sweet Child has there. They would have to catch them out of position, and they do end up popping that gen, making it a 4K1 possible result. Tag there onto Phenom, as Phenom is actually going to be running down towards the bottom side of the map. Could be looking at another 2-tap here, and unless they are able to play this correctly, does not connect to the second blink, and that is not going to be a 2-tap, as they are going to be more well positioned right now in this moment. Dropping that pallet, charging up the second blink again, which is just a big mistake that a lot of nurses make, not expecting to be able to get that down in one blink, but they do commit to the one blink this time, and they finally get the down onto Phenom.
These survivors are playing the line of sight absolutely beautifully. This is a textbook example on how to be playing against a nurse. Now, yes, a lot of the chases are still ending in record time, but you can still create some distance, make some time against a killer as strong as the nurse, and these survivors are proving it right now. Perfect blink for Autumn Sadness, however, almost locking straight onto Sweet Child, definitely taking advantage of the fact that Kate is injured to try and track him through the walls. Ronsan is actually not too willing to leave right now, wants to get this lineup. Is it going to be possible? Would have been a snipe of the century, would have been a nice little shot, a good clip for sure. We're not going to do anything, and that's a little more time that's wasted. Phenom able to be healed up in that time. Remember, weeJason did get the unhook and had the will make it, so a heal coming out at lightning speed. And Phenom is now just going to be pressuring out Shaq as well. weeJason just seems to be kind of the glue holding this team together. Hasn't been doing wonders for the gens necessarily, but in terms of everything else, you know, keeping pressure off the other survivors, rescuing them off the hook, healing them up, hiding when it needs to be done. Really strong survivor play coming out right now.
Definitely. Now we're actually going to be seeing a very fast tag. Autumn, understanding that weeJason did end up going for the save, is going to grab that tag onto weeJason. Now, weeJason does have a med kit, and whether they're able to fully reset themselves is a question for him and himself. But now we're going to have to see a good chase from Sweet Child, which unfortunately was not presented to us, as Sweet Child did not have much to work with to break line of sight and is going to go down because of it. But even with that being said, we are now going to be seeing that self-reset coming through from weeJason, meaning that Sweet Child may have a chance to still be alive here. Now the big problem is for Sinners is that the one gen that has a lot of progress is currently in danger, as the heartbeat is right next to it, meaning that the killer is nearby and is now looking for Phenom. Autumn Sadness checking the edge map tiles to see if they can maybe find Phenom here. Sweet Child is going to be picked up, and no sights on anyone just yet, but no, instead we get a very fast tag onto Phenom, and this is actually very, very bad. This Phenom should have ran topside when he had a chance. Now going to be running into the killer. Autumn Sadness is going to down Phenom super fast, and now is going to have a hook right next to the gen, meaning Edgar that he's about to get a pop directly on top of the one gen with the most progress in the game right now.
And you could tell that all of the eggs were in the basket for this shack generator over here. The one up top in the main building just kind of being ignored by the survivors in favor of the one by Shack, and now that's going to be popped, and Autumn Sadness again has the hook here and is just defending kind of everywhere at once. The long reach of the nurse is a very real problem, as weeJason is going to be starting the long and tedious process of trying to pressure this topside Jed. Maybe in a perfect world, you hope that the nurse just ignores it for the rest of the time being, but Phenom is dying if that happens. Simple as that. Autumn Sadness is just hovering in this mid-map point here. Is finally going to commit to this generator. Does get the hit through onto weeJason. Sweet Child has to be getting the unhook on Phenom right now. We'll be doing it! Autumn Sadness, you are going for some absolutely crazy snipes, my guy. They're not always paying off, but they're damn sure flashy with it.
And very, very, very exciting, because now we're actually going to be looking at some juicer plays here from weeJason, moving around there almost as if he was spinning, but it was just good pathing. Unfortunately for weeJason, he did not end up getting through the nurse there at the end, but that is actually probably going to be enough, as they're going to be doubling that gen. Remember, this is Deja Vu also on top of the gen, meaning that they're going to have more speed, that one survivor. I think that could be enough, as Autumn is taking a little bit of time here to hook weeJason, but remember, weeJason has deli. They could quickly pop the deli, move up towards the top side of the map. I mean, they have no reason to wait right now, as we do see that deli coming through. Is that going to be enough for them to be able to commit to that gen? And it seems like that is going to be the case, as they do end up popping, and now Sweet Child out of position, going to be blinked on, going to be taking a very quick tag here. One blink charging up, going up to 2. Are we going to be seeing a down here? And it seems like no, not on Sweet Child, but instead going to be on Phenom. No, wait, double backing, and actually going to be faking them out. Very good pathing direction from Sweet Child is going to get them out of this situation and actually on the map right now, but it seems like they're actually going to be running over to where weeJason is now. Whether they're going to have that chance to make it over there just in time, because remember, it is going to be a nurse, is a very big question, and it seems like it's so close. They're going to be running over. They're going to have to use a heal tech right now, as it seems like weeJason's going to be on top of him, but no, they're not going to be able to heal them in time, and he's going to get picked up. That is so unfortunate for Sinners, but they did get a 2-out, Edgar. Wait.
Well, you say that. You say there's a 2-out, but Phenom is still stuck here. Wasn't close enough to the exit gate right now. Sweet Child is going to be going on this hook, and yeah, Phenom hasn't escaped, and what are your options right now? You just kind of have to chill out here, hope that the killer just doesn't have eyeballs or something like that, doesn't have a functioning set of ears. Autumn Sadness, though, doesn't know exactly where Phenom is, and might be called out that there's a brief window of opportunity. It'll be a very bold play if Phenom wants to try and get this save onto Sweet Child, but no. Thinks better of it. Very fortunately is able to get out. That is the 2-man out. Really, really strong survivor performance coming out here from Sinners.
That was a death and a first hook, so that is actually a very, very, very good result on Nurse, because a 4K is very, very possible. And another thing that I know is possible is getting outs here, because Trauma can still make this out here, but I would like to say Sinners does have a chance to do this, not really does depend on their nurse. But with that being said, that is going to be it here for the first game of the first set here at the DBD League. We will see you all after our intermission and these hopefully short messages.
Obrigado.
estoy contando, está. Está, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Ah, você tirou ele em 15 segundos, tá?
Tá, talvez tenha
entendi.
estacado, não.
Sim, sim. Men não está avançado, não?
Eu não escutei nada também.
Tá, tá. Vale, puede ser de eso.
Eles estão fazendo meio, eles não vão salvar ele.
Tá, desse, tá? Tem 15, vai em 15 segundos. Mas igual você não pode matar ele e tentar dar 4K, não? Se van 30 segundos de DS. Son 30 más.
Aqui, ó.
Ele foi para trás, acho. Tá, tem 10 segundos. Você pode tentar ir 3, tal vez?
Deixa eu ver
Igual
se
você
tá
usa
aqui,
volta.
ó.
Tá, já não tem mais desse. Possibilidade.
Impossível popar, né?
Eu acho que eles juegan, sí. Van a perderlo. Mas tem porta 4 y acho que porta 6 talvez. Dele em brecol, acho ainda.
Ele vai forçar o locker. Não chega.
Você não chega, acho?
Acho que não. Não?
Não sei. É que eu acho que você perde, não? Porque van a ser 9 e ele tuvo mais hooks. Eu não sei como
Sim, eu tenho
funciona.
que fazer o 4K. Não abriu.
É por isso, você chega, mas ele tem em brecol, tá? Eu acho.
Tá.
Você pode procurar ir por 9 por si ele abriu um pouco. Para... no sé qué... Vale, le abrió 10%, algo así.
Não consigo acreditar que ele não tá aqui. Aí isso é um breakable, né?
Para mí él está ahí y tal vez él abrió un poquito, mas él no abrió. Mas você pode ficar no 5 ainda. Por eso. No precisa agresivar muito ainda. Eu acho.
Eles vão se curar?
Não sei se tem medkit.
Eu acho que eles se curam.
Aí você pode tirar um blink para 8 talvez. Para 2, perdão. Eu acho que eles não conseguem curar. Para mí, a Nea está 2 o está no 1 o está no 2. Eu acho... Mas eu acho que se ele abre um pouco, eu já... ele chega.
Eu acho que ele vai abrir.
Sim, eu acho também. Não. Tá, volta para 5.
Cara, o que ela tá fazendo?
Escuta, Phenom, eu acho que se você faz o hook também, ou seja, igual ele está aí, não?
Eu acho que...
Mas
Achei.
se você...
Show.
Tá, oblida, não importa. Não pode ficar pra lá e não ter aí, não.
Caralho. Forçar o locker. Ele abre. Tem sprint 99. Ah, que bosta. A gente perde por um fresh, não?
É, acho que sim.
Caraca, ficou ali pra levantar ainda. Mano, não jogou nenhuma vez pro portão.
É, igual eu acho que você nunca mirou para trás também, Phenom. O sea, você fez direito, pero não é.
É que na primeira vez, ela vai pro portão insta, ela abria. Na primeira vez.
Ah, não, sim, mas quando ele cachou aí, ele não chegava. Por isso. Eu acho que aí você teve que haber visto. Porque você ia ver
Na última vez que ela levantou esse, não?
Sim, sim. O sea, você ia ver marcas e ele ia para 9. Você viu para 9, você nunca viu marcas. Por isso. E você nunca viu para trás, num momento.
Hello and welcome everyone back to the one and only DBD League. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your caster Spectral, joined here by the one and only Edgar the Ruiner. Very, very well-known caster. Now we're actually going to be watching the second match of the first set, which is going to be Trauma versus Sinners on Nurse. Right now, going to be Trauma on Survivor and Sinners on the Nurse, which is going to be Phenom. Edgar, now we did see a 2 out 9 stage earlier, which was a very, very, very good result for Nurse. Do you believe that Phenom, which we do know is a super, super good Nurse, is going to be able to pull that off? Now, remember, it's very difficult, but you think that's possible?
All I'll say is this. By this point, Autumn Sanders already had a down and a hook. And right now, Phenom is whiffing far too many of these. And I know that seems really harsh, but when you're dealing with these margins, it's so important. And like, quite annoyingly, it's not like we haven't seen this from Sinners before, where they have such a phenomenal Survivor performance, and then they just get let down anyway. Like, look at the gen progress. There's already this gen is already going to be completed over here. That being doubled up by the Ace and the Nia as well. We are gonna have this vibe put on a hill. So now Pop Goes the Weasel is here, but with Ruin still up, you're not actually going to be able to do anything about that. Until the Ruin Undying's gone, your pop is going to be all but cosmetic. It's not like you mind particularly, you still have some strong aggression going through, but you are in essence down a perk until 2 of your other perks have been cleansed. And as I say that, in perfect unison, like 2 peas in a pod, 2 bullets in a mag, they end up going down as well. Phenom, not going to be doing anything fancy here, is going to be holding this blink in range to try and both hold these gens and the hook at the same time. But actually, with the blink in here, there's a small window of opportunity for Swatter to be taken off the hook, but it doesn't necessarily matter. I think we all know that Swatter was chosen to be the dead target and is just going to go down for it. Interestingly enough, Esclair being forced to heal up ideally would have been the ones to get the save onto Swatter so that you could proc that deliverance nice and early. Instead, it might be interesting to see whether Esk actually waits for Swatter to go stage 2 before trying to get that unhook instead.
We did see earlier something I love to see in comp is a Nurse vaulting the window. Every single time, man. But Phenom still keeping
It's not really vaulting the window, it's more floating through the window, right?
Oh, you have a point. You have a point, and now I really want to hurt you. Like, just a knuckle on the chin, I guess.
You wouldn't be the first. Anyway, Phenom is going to be sticking on here on this high ground for the time being. Yeah, holding the hook here. It seems like it is just going to be a hard camp onto Swatter. This makes life a little difficult for S, but with the hit coming through, is able to get that save off. So the deliverance is going to be procced. Some people might say, well, what if it isn't a safe hook? Well, by virtue of the new borrowed time, it's impossible to not get a safe unhook. So that doesn't really matter. And some nice delay that is going to be coming out from Swatter. Knows that they're dead to rights here. Not a whole lot that can be done about that, but every single second bot is going to be out of your, especially because Esk actually has the Unbreakable. Not afraid to use it to just get the hell out of dodge, and that's going to be another gen pop-in from the side of Autumn Sadness. Want to also see where Grenout is. Only 50% progress on this gen isn't really what you want at this stage. Ideally, when you're giving up the life of your teammate, you would have 3 gens popped by this point. but it seemed like there was a little bit of a dance between Esk being the one injured and also trying to get the save to go for the deliverance play. Point is, if you are the survivors right now, you really want this chase to go on to Esk and no one else, to be honest.
Well, honestly, they're not in a horrible spot right now. Phenom is actually looking at roughly the same pace that Autumn Sadness was able to achieve in the last game, having a kill at 3 gens. Now, the only question is will Phenom let history repeat itself, and will Trauma be able to pull off what Sinners did and completely destroy a 3v1 with 3 gens remaining and get a 2-out off it? Now, that is very possible. We're talking about Trauma here, a very, very well and good experienced team. So this is definitely very possible, especially since they're now actually all splitting the gens. That is going to be the 3rd gen of the game popping right now, as they're actually going to be chasing Grenaut on the edge map. Grenaut in a bit of a spot here, might be M1s here, but maybe no, not just yet. Going to be committing to that second blink to, of course, reposition himself, since he did end up pulling it up way too early. Is going to grab that tag onto Grenaut, and it seems like we now have 2 blinks remaining. We just have to get sights of Grenaut to actually be able to fully commit to this, but Grenaut's doing a very good job here of completely breaking all LOS, and unfortunately getting swallowed there by the rock. Is not able to commit to that blink and is now forced to run over towards the edge map once more to try and catch up to Grenaut's amazing nurse running skills. They are doubling a gen. This could be a pop, and that is going to be the case, but it seems like this is not going to be as easy as they did end up planning, Edgar, because remember, now they're doubling gens. They are getting the results of, well, doubling that they wanted. They're getting these gens out very, very quickly, but they have 1 gen remaining, and they currently have somebody on hook, meaning that they can no longer be doubling gens, because somebody has to be focused on resetting, someone has to be focused on healing, and if in that time there is no down, or if there is a down, it's just going to be a back and forth rebuttal of somebody being chased, somebody being saved, and someone being healed.
You're also going to have to balance your hook stages very carefully. I do believe that when Autumn Sadness went on the killer, it was a 9-stage performance, I believe. So
Yes.
as the survivors here, you can't be too willy-nilly with your hook stages. You only have absolute maximum of 10 to work with. Simply put, if you have 10 stages, you lose this set. And suddenly you're down 1 against a team which, remember, hasn't won a single match in this tournament thus far. Sinners are the underdogs, of course, but this means that there isn't so much pressure on them. They just don't have as much expectations right now, as Phenom is actually going to be opting to play it a little bit safe now, dealing with Grenaut instead. Esk is waiting in the wings, definitely the prime target to be getting this unhook. But the issue is that now Phenom is looking at these generators, and if they can find the one that Autumn Sadness is on, then there was absolutely 0 gen progress being done for a good hot minute.
I think he did. Well, he did find the gen that Autumn Sadness was working. Now, the only problem with said gen... Oh, wait! Interrupting me real quick. ESC is actually going to be running in to quickly grab the save, but Phenom does not have enough time to be going over to be focusing on something as silly as just a save on a Deathhook survivor. As you did mention, it is very smart to keep in mind that getting every single survivor Deathhook here and at least getting 1 more kill is going to be a very smart decision and actually going to be crucial for... Phenom to be able to win this set for his team. But right now he has to dry kick this gen to make sure it regresses enough, hopefully enough time for him to be able to grab it down, quickly run over with it, with Pop Goes a Weasel, and for no one to be on it, or for, should I say, for someone to be on it so he can actually kick it there. Because remember, passive regression is so annoying. When you dry kick a gen and they leave it to be regressing passively so you don't get your Pop Goes a Weasel value, it is so, it angers me, man. Seeing that gen and you just can't do anything to it, feeling so powerless is truly something that really, really can demoralize somebody in DBD. But Autumn Sadness going to be stealthing edge map here as Phenom is waiting on top of the hill trying to look and see, as it seems like Trauma is actually opting to go for the one strategy that completely throws out the window what I said earlier, Edgar. They are all stealthing while they are resetting, so they make sure that all 3 people are alive in this moment. A super incredibly smart decision, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is going to be buying more time. Grenaut having to take the drop there, not exactly what you want, especially because, as we just saw earlier, Autumn Sadness is the balanced landing player, the one who wants to be playing around this main building. Grenaut seems to recognize that they're going to be going down here, but is just going to be buying time, hopping in and out of the lockers, doing some ducking, dipping, diving, juking, whatever the hell you want to call it. but it's all just going to be delaying the inevitable. But meanwhile, there's the gen on the far side of the map. Now that there is a Pop Goes the Weasel in play, you're going to have to see, well...
The question is he's not going to get it.
Yes, they're going to be able to complete the gen, but now you're in a very strange spot at the survivors. If anyone gets caught, they can just be camped to death, and then that's it. That's the 9 stages, and then I believe...
No.
I believe we'd have a tie, or there's something with the fresh hooks. Someone is going to have to fact check that in the back for me real quick.
There's a problem here. An incredibly huge problem here. Yeah, okay. I was about to say. Now, people do, or like some people might question here, since they maybe haven't realized. ESC has Deli. This guy cannot be hooked right now because he's a liability to Phenom. If Autumn is to escape, that's also another fresh hook survivor, meaning that Trauma gets more points for getting that escape, and that is probably going to be enough to just put them over the edge even by a little bit. And with ESC having Deli, they could do a last second play where they go for the hatch, which Phenom is not going to have much to do about. And right now we just need to find Autumn. It does not matter if ESC ends up bleeding out. We just need to focus on trying to find the one person right now that is very, very, very important to us. But it seems like they did end up going for the pickup, which is actually going to be a very interesting play, meaning that Phenom does know where both survivors are at the current moment and can safely just hold choke to try and grab as much information as possible. And it's really the big question that is begging to be known to the world right now. Will Trauma be able to get past this choke point, and will they be able to get these outs?
These also aren't great exit gates for Phenom to have to deal with. They are... Of everything's relative on Nurse, right? The entire map is essentially your playground, but these are on kind of opposite sides of the map. You're not able to make it in 1 or 2 clean chain blinks. You're gonna have to take time to get between those, and it's a very strange margin for error right now for Phenom. Fortunately, it does at least have the visuals on both the exit gates, and seems like is going to be catching out someone over here, committing. That is going to be Esk, and again, it's what we're talking about before. Esk is the one with Deliverance anyway, and Phenom seems to almost recognize this and thinks, okay, well, I just don't want anything to do with you. I know that if I hook you, it's going to buy time for Autumn Sadness to get a gate open, you to get yourself off, and then in that borrowed time window, there's too much of a risk for you to get into the hatch or get out of the same exit gate.
This is so unfortunate, because here's the thing. And Phenom, oh my god, wait. Autumn Sadness caught completely out of bounds, going to be running in to try and pick up ESC, is actually probably going to be the opportunity that Sinners need to try and win this. Going to be blinking up and now finding ESC, but no, this is an incredibly huge mistake here. You should be completely ignoring ESC if you can, because honestly committing to Autumn Sadness and just getting him dead would probably be enough for you, but no, now grabbing that down onto ESC, since ESC is injured and he is slugging for the 4K here, which is an even safer play, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. I do think right now the chance is going to be extremely bad. Now, I do know one more thing. He has general information on Autumn's location, but not enough, because they did end up double backing there around Water Tower, meaning that the pickup is going to be completely through, and thanks to Botany, they might be able to get a full reset here, which is going to be extremely bad for Sinners. He is trying to go over to see if he can interrupt it, but just one full blink here could get an injure on someone, as both people are now going to be free in this moment. They're not going to be able to commit to it. No tags just yet, as both people are going to be healthy, and that is not good for Sinners at all, ladies and gentlemen. Committing to that first blink instead of taking the M1 there for some reason, but now the Lithe is going to be going topside. Nope, not just yet. He does know that that's a lot of distance on his blink, and he did end up getting inside of Shaq, meaning that he does have the element of surprise to his advantage. And now only forced to go topside to try and interrupt ESC. ESC probably on the gate, 25% on top of it. He's getting close, but now he's going to be leaving it ahead of time to, of course, not leave anything up to chance. But he needs to be careful. That 25% is going to be a red light on the gate, meaning that he understands. Oh, wait, is that actually him going to be found? Edgar, this is looking really tough. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's got to be. ESC has been found out right now. He's going to be hounded down. There's absolutely no way that Nurse wants to let this one go. ESC is just going to be running back towards these rocks in the meantime. But the gate is going to be open. Autumn Sadness is going to be leaving. And now there's no way for this nurse to win out. And this is exactly what we were talking about for the Sinners. They can have such a strong performance, such a great round on Survivor, but it just doesn't really matter.
As one legendary singer once said, in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I mean, the feed is showing 12 hooks for some reason. That's not true. There were not.
It is true. It is
I
true.
can
Sinners
confirm
won. Sinners
there were
won.
not.
Match official. Sinners won.
Match,
look, it's all folks.
match officials, get this checked. There are 12 hooks staged on the screen. But no, because of both teams matching the 9 hook stages, but because Autumn Sadness got 4 fresh hooks, that does render that nurse performance just a little bit stronger by the tiebreaker of tiebreakers, and Trauma winning out that set. Oh, come on, Sinners. You were so close, yet so far.
Good lord, man. That was probably... honestly, that was very sad to watch, because I know Sinners definitely did try their best, but, you know, RNG was not in their favor with every single thing, like every single little thing in that match just going completely against them. Good lord. But with that being said, thank you all for watching the very first set of Sinners versus Trauma. We're going to be moving into our second one, which is going to be Mastermind, with Sinners being picked first. So maybe for once will we see Sinners finally take a set win and have a chance to finally take an entire game against a team here at DBD League to have their first win. But we will never know what will happen ahead of us because it is a complete surprise. So we will see you all with said surprise after our intermission and these hopefully short messages.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Wesking time. weeJason gonna be pulling it out on the Mastermind, a killer that they're pretty well known for and already going to have sights on where some of these survivors might be. Checking around the corrupted gens briefly, you know that that's where the survivors are likely going to spawn in, but eventually might want to be leaving it. You'd prefer to not have to take your chases within the corrupted generators if you're the killer, but there comes a point where you might just kind of have to understand and settle for what you can get, especially on this high ground right now. Going to be trying to utilize those dashes to cover a whole lot of distance, and is going to be finding Esk here, the player who caused so much trouble in the last round for the Sinners. And weeJason decides, yeah, I do not want any of that smoke right now.
I feel like that's actually going to be a bit of a 1v1 coming through from here, because remember, these two survivors have been known to annoy the killer a lot. I mean, we saw it in just our previous 2 games, weeJason being the one going in there, like you said, being the glue that holds his team together, and so was ESC being the one person that keeps every single thing under control. He's like they're like both literally the masterminds, and that'd be hilarious if ESC ends up playing Mastermind right after this, but it seems like we're actually not going to be committing to ESC or the other survivor. We're instead going to be committing towards Swatter, as we do see a very, very easy tag onto Swatter right now. One bound going to be charging up, pre-dropping that pallet, and now vaulting it over, most likely to get that life, which is a very smart play, as he does get a lot of distance on top of it. Now, whether he's going to be able to use it correctly or not is completely up to him, and it seems like Swatter is going to be running into the killer, so unfortunately, that is not going to be the case, and it's going to be the first down of the game for weeJason before a gen is even close to popping, which is very, very good, Edgar.
Yeah, none of these gens honestly seem to be particularly close, and he's not the one that's being doubled up here by Esk and Grenau. And yeah, Autumn Sadness also not making that much progress on their own gen. It seems like the survivors were a little more interested in doing their housekeeping, brushing up on all the totems on the map, so no more Ruin Undying to deal with. And, well, you have your very big early game power spike with all of these perks working in conjunction, Corrupt Intervention and Ruin and Undying. And now you're Wesker with Agitation. Agitation ain't bad, for sure. It certainly allows you to get your hooks more where you want them, whether you want them next to progress generators so that you can pressure them out at the same time, especially in the early game where you do intend to camp out for quite a while. At the same time, it's just agitation. It's not going to be winning you matches based off of that, you know? So the power spike for weeJason is now well and firmly gone. But with the hook onto Swatter, and Swatter, who is going to be hitting second stage, this at least bodes well for the rest of weeJason's matchup.
2 Sage is about to be added to Swatter here very, very shortly, as now we're actually going to be committing to Autumn Sadness, as Autumn Sadness does have a lot of progress on this gen, enough to be able to commit to it, and enough for weeJason to be discouraged entirely and not go back to Hook to completely camp it. Going around to see if they can maybe grab that tag. They do end up grabbing it on top of Grenade. Grenade is going to be taking that very fast tag here, but instead we're going to be focusing on Swatter, making his way over towards main. Now he does make this pal safely, but dude, I have like something like stuck in my throat and it's like threatening. Oh, Swatter not dying under pallet and is going to be dead at 3 gens again, but maybe not over just yet, as they do have a lot of pressure on the gens here. Trauma does have this big opportunity to keep the pressure on and of course completely take weeJason by storm. However, in this situation they are going to be kicking that gen. Swatter is going to be dead, making it a 3v1 as we did mention just there earlier, and he is going to have a good amount of pressure on the map himself. Even with no perks right now, the only thing that he has is agitation, which, as we have talked a lot before, and in fact even you and me, Edgar, between ourselves, we have talked about this in previous games. I'm pretty sure in Elysium match we did see a dry agitation with no value other than itself, getting us very oppressive hooks, which is a very, very smart decision.
There's something to be said for the value of agitation compared to other perks. What's being run in this 4th slot can vary a lot. You have your 3 main regression perks, but aside from that, Wesker seem to be either going for agitation so that they can get their oppressive hooks, or they can just get their oppressive downs instead by turning around the corner, Tokyo drifting, Gren out right into a wall. But as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, the other perk that Wesker seem to be going for is Brutal Strength, simply because Wesker, oddly enough, isn't that good at some of the weaker tiles in the game. At regular pallet loops, Weskers honestly don't have a whole lot that they can do when there are too many bends and curves and they aren't nice straight lines to be able to travel in. But that's not really seems to be a concern, as a nice bit of juice does come out here from Autumn Sadness, forcing the pallet drop.
Ooh.
And yeah, you tried to make the moves there, Autumn Sadness, but you got interrupted by the Wesker instead. But weeJason seems to just want Grenal dead, just wants to get rid of them right now, spending far too much time on Autumn Sadness, not the target that you want to be going for. Grenal is the Golden Goose instead, and zoned out into a corner of the map, and I do not believe there's anything to work with here in the slightest.
Now, I would also like to mention, as Grenal is about to go down in the corner of the map, which is again a very good decision. However, I don't think there's enough pressure on these gens. Wait, maybe there is. They might be able to pop this one. He is going to have to get a hook here very quickly and be able to interrupt it, which he definitely does have time to do so. But remember, keep this in mind. This is actually going to be enough. The agitation heartbeat scare is going to be enough, as he's going to be actually hooking him at the bottom of the map. Now remember, agitation does increase a person's hit radius upon picking a survivor up, meaning that there could be a little bit of pressure being applied to the survivor simply with the heartbeat alone, but he's going to be focusing on kicking this. Now, as I was saying, weeJason is considered to be the prodigy of Sinners, being the one player that can bring Sinners to the top for being such a very, very good experienced player, having so much experience on Survivor, having so much experience on Killer. It would honestly not be a surprise to me if this guy was to 4K a team like Trauma right now. But that does also come to question, what will Sinners be able to provide on a serve here? Because I do mention this a lot before, Edgar. There are so many killers, so many amazing killers like Ultra on the Unknown. Their teams have to scrim against them all the time if they want to play these sets, if they want to learn how to play these sets. And if they're so good on this killer, how are they going to perform against the enemy team's killer? Because they have to get used to one play style. Let's keep in mind weeJason's Wesker playstyle. How are Sinners going to be able to play around Traumas?
With great difficulty, is what I'm going to say. I don't think that... I think that what we're seeing here from weeJason is how effective the agitation is, to be honest. Again, we were briefly pondering before about what might be good as weeJason. You're meant to go... You're not meant to go through the pallet, you're meant to hit the survivor instead. But that's fine, that's incidental, as there is going to be nice pressure coming from the other side of the map. But what we were talking about is that the agitation there essentially gifted the death onto Grenal. That's the struggle coming through on this regular pallet loop right now, which Esk is just going to be able to take 50-50 is actually going to be going the way of S for now, so more time that is being bought here, but Orb of Sadness is running away. It's clear that Signal came out, that weeJason has had enough of these silly little games. I mean, 7 minutes is all we can spare, right? But it seems like these survivors are taking a little bit longer than that, and weeJason getting just a bit agitated.
Good lord, dude, you are so corny. Going to be chasing ESC back once more, using Skinny Bert to get through those rocks, but unfortunately he's not going to be able to Skinny Bert through those trees, as now we're going to be seeing them make their way over towards this pallet gem, which is a very strong pallet gem if you ask me, and now focusing back on the very strong God Filler. Now this could very easily be a tag, which it is going to be the case, as he does slam against the treads, but has main building to his advantage, using that speed to make his way over towards a window, which he is going to make safely here. However, it is going to be difficult as he does end up pulling up his power, so he's not going to be committing to it. Is instead going to be going after the M1, dropping down, no bounce landing to support him, and is going to go down even with trying to vault that window to waste time. But Autumn Sadness not going to be on the gen, not trying to commit to it, is instead going to be ratting around the hill to see if they can quickly pick up ESC, which we have seen before in the nurse match. Is a very smart decision that they've been able to replicate over and over, as they continuously just completely run into the killer without them knowing and just make it past them. This is just a broken record at this point, because Trauma is just completely bamboozling every single one of Sinner's killers and every single one of their opportunities at this point. We do see Autumn vaulting, or was that ESC vaulting into main, Autumn on the outside, and the game just might be straightforward from here, but they do still have a chance, Edgar.
They do still have a chance. S getting picked up here is probably making the best of a bad situation here for the survivor side. Had you not, then you would have had to try and deal with the 50-50 of... You would have had to try and deal with the 50-50 of who's going to be making it to the... Autumn Sadness? Autumn Sadness?
That's DVD comp.
That's DVD comp. Does someone need to call the Esports Commission? Explain what just happened there? I think we have some integrity issues, maybe? Oh, well, happens to the best of us, right?
Hey, minus 10 for getting grabbed.
Minus $10,000 fine for match fixing, I guess. Anyway, I mean, you could see what Autumn Sadness was going for there, trying to utilize the life to make some distance, but it felt really odd. It felt really strange. You had Wesker on the other side of the pallet. You had dropped the pallet, they weren't able to vault it, and yet you then vault back and then try and revolt, and that barely even works with the life. You only get like 1 second of speed boost, which is, you know, barely anything. And then you just get grabbed anyway, because you mistimed it and the power had been used.
Yeah,
so,
it's definitely going to be a huge issue.
Credit where credit is due. This seems like a very strong 4K coming out for the Sinners. We were hyping up weeJason coming into this, and it seems like that was all very well placed. Now, we do know the Sinner special, the ability to have such a strong start and then just let it all escape at the very end, but it would take a Kobe level amount of beef to mess this one up.
Definitely. Unfortunately, that is going to be the case for us here very quickly, because Sinners is going to be in a tough spot. Now, the reason I'm saying this, because remember, we're talking about Sinners serves here. I put a lot of faith on Sinners that they're going to be able to take this set, because, you know, weeJason's amazing Wesker ability just got them 4K1, and getting at least one out here is not the most impossible thing ever, you know? Now, like I said, it's Sinners survivors we're talking about, meaning that there could be a very, very easy mistake here planted by said survivors that is probably going to put them in a complete ditch. Now, somebody runs into the killer, a reset gets found out, too much pressure on a gen gets completely dissipated, or they just go continuously trading stages until they finally get a gen done, but it is way too far gone. That is something that is probably for Sinners to look out for, because honestly, it's still anyone's game here at this point, even with how good weeJason did end up playing here on Wesker.
Yeah, and unfortunately 4K1 does also seem like a relatively drawable position. Wesker is considered a higher tier killer, so you're more likely to see these you're more likely to see 4Ks than you are with maybe some of our other killers. it could be drawable, it could be winnable, and it could be very, very losable. We're going to be back after a very, very short break. Going to be whether the Sinner survivors can take us to that tiebreaker spirit round, or whether it's going to be locked out here. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen.
Aham. 3, tô indo pra main já, sou BL, fica safe lá.
Tá todo mundo no 1 aqui, né?
Fica até o Sushi.
Ah, não, 3. O G no meio do mapa tá aberto, tá? A quadradinha main.
Sim. Trigen é 3, meio do
Três
mapa
no-
e main.
Tá. Ele está a 4? Ele está a 4. Tá comentando para esse Sushi. Comentou para comentou. Na info quebrou porta. Dropa isso.
Porta, tá vindo por dentro também. Subiu main.
Tá. Tem
Não sei se
BL.
ele vai quebrar lá em
começando
cima. Não.
Para onde?
Tá, aqui, vou. Na frente da main.
Você já subiu, Sushi?
Sim.
Tá. Dupla 5. Peguem aí o Cafulho. Vocês.
Ei, tô indo.
E Phenom.
5, 6 aqui.
Tá, eu vou para 4. Tá, não tem ruim, tá?
Ok.
Vou pra check.
Onde você tá, Sete?
Check.
Tá. Ele te guivou?
Não, tá comigo.
Tá.
Se você cai canto, ele já popa. Tá bem? Tá, depois alguém vai ter que pegar 3 e não tem chance 6, não?
6 não. Só se tiver
Tá,
6,
tudo
9,
bem.
mas acho que não.
Tá, pega 6-9. Uma de vocês pega 6-9 e outra pessoa pega 3, tá? Ou main. Não, pega main. Você
Pega main,
confia.
sim.
Tá, pega main você com
Base.
Tá. Ok, tá. Phenom, pega o Shen e qualquer coisa se ele comita, você vai para 3, tá?
Tá, o Gen é no 9-8, tá? É bem perto da check. Se ele me perguntar o que eu posso quê, não escutei.
Eu acho melhor CD.
Tem um coração 4,
Tá, ele me viu
Ele
no
acha que tá
9, não veio.
Vai salar? Ele acha que tá 4.
Posso salvar. Salvei.
Ainda não chutou?
Eu salvo bem de boa.
Tá chutando agora. Tá cegado. Deu pop. Tá voltando. Voltou. Você sabe?
Sim, eu salvo.
Pra quem ainda?
Tá.
Não tem muita coisa aqui.
É, o Trigen aqui ainda.
Dá aquela eruption só.
Tu passa?
Passa. Pra mim?
Tá.
Cai no canto de novo.
Certo.
Agora.
Tá. Vem dupla, Phenom. Achou o popão. Vem dupla
Tô
4.
indo.
Super. Base
Base de
não.
novo. Base.
Tá. Popão. Se vem dupla, popão. Onde você tá, Phenom?
Tô chegando agora.
Tá.
O lag não me deixou subir.
Tá, depois agora, Phenom, você pega 3 e eu pego 1, tá?
O Cafulho tá na main, né?
Sim. Vai 1 e 3. Se ele comita 1, o outro vai para 3.
Safe.
Deu dash aqui pra fora.
Tá, vou passar na cara dele aqui pro 3. Ele tá olhando o 9 primeiro. Eu acho que ele vai chutar o 9-8.
Tá, ok. Cafulho, você fica aí na main e você joga para o seguir com Biel, tá?
Tá.
E com Phenom ficamos no Shen.
Tá, peguei o 3.
Ah, não, pega a dupla, Cafulho. Pega a dupla 3 com Phenom. Vai ser mejor.
Tá.
Tá, 1, 3, 9, 8 e chacas.
Isso mesmo. 1, 3, 9, 8. Não, 9, 7 na real. É 27.
Tá.
Ele tá garantindo a morte, né?
Tá aqui.
Quem tenga chase tem que cair em cima, tá?
Aqui embaixo.
Pueden jugar. Cuando él muere pueden jugar con distancia. Que você está en dupla. Uno puede deixar hacer o Shen. Y deixa só una pessoa aí. Tá, tem um coração 1. Alguém tem que pegar um.
Tá.
Vai lá, Phenom.
Eu já vou. Só pra garantir que vai bombar
Tá
esse.
comitando um.
Comitou?
Comitou. Eu fui para 4. Pode tener hit? Não tenho hit? Não. Tá, vivo. Tá vivo. Não info.
Tá, não, tá no ainda.
Tá.
Tá na frente
Ei,
também.
vai,
Eu peguei um insta. 3 Cafulho. Tu papa? Papa, né?
Ele é papai.
Perfeito.
Duplão.
Tô no 1 já.
Vai para 6.
Sim.
Se você apertar W e olhar pro 9, a gente...
Não.
Três também. Vou
Pega
pegar
a
o 9 lá,
gente.
tá?
Sim.
Acho que ele vem em mim.
Tá comigo.
Foi em você. Peguei um. Cal.
Tá. Comigo 7. Ey,
Botou
botou
um, botou um.
Tá, corri pro 3, corri pro 3.
Chama-me, Phenom, que tá um chip.
Tá.
Tá, já vamos lutar então.
Tá comigo. Vou tomar o hit com spawn sub 4, né?
Não, fica na mente, fica abaixo. Toma,
Eu voltei pra mim.
vamos já no jogar.
Comigo.
Tá, se você força locker, pô, vamos. Ora, bonito.
Tá, forcei locker.
There's no point in hiding.
Tá, porta. Não tem dois. Ah, 8, porra.
Ele tá levando no meio do mapa, no 6. Vocês palpam bem de boa. Na frente também. Eu aviso por qual lado que ele vai. Tá indo pelo lado 4. Poder 4. Subiu.
Tá, deu de cara comigo. Não vai comigo.
Parou, olhou pra mim. Voltou pra mim, voltou pra mim. Tá olhando pelo 6 agora, pelo 6, procurando o Jason.
Força portão ou 6?
Procurando
É
4.
a porta.
Foi no Cafulho. Eu aviso,
Tá vendo,
monitor.
tá vendo.
Tá comitando o Cafulho por enquanto. Comitou. Voltou agora. Não, comitou.
Noite.
Tá, você me salva? Não. Você toma isso. Ah, nossa, ele não quis te bater.
Não, toma.
Tá.
Ok, tem 10 minutos pra chegar a despedida, así que tengo que colocar un insta. Ou você, Cafulho, quer sair? Como você queira, Cafulho. Porque eu acho que se você jogar, talvez você não chegar.
Você não pode pedir pra eles esperarem um pouquinho lá ou pra, não sei,
Pronto, tá.
inverter a ordem e outra pessoa jogar, qualquer coisa que dê tempo de jogar aqui?
Peraí, eu tô na calma. Os caras, peraí.
O Gustavo no respondió a Sushi, ¿no?
Não.
Tá, eu vou ir mandando a volta. Tá, eu vou ir com um, tá?
Você com a 3.
Tá. Você vai conectar o switch e deixar a última para Cafulho, assim que eu.
Guarda amarelo na frente do verde, né? Isso que quebrou.
Vai atrasar 20 minutos o jogo lá.
Perfeito.
Tá. Ok, agora, Cafulho, su vuelta é a DS, tá? Eu mandei um bulsur. Tá, agora escuta, tem que cair sim ou sim no canto 8 ou 2, eu vou falar.
Hello and welcome everyone to the one and only DBD League, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your caster Spectral, joined here by Edgar himself, who did end up just introducing us to the very first match here of the second set, which is going to now be the second one with Trauma on Killer instead of Sinner. Sinner's roster going to be Sweet Child, weeJason, Cafulio, and Phenom. Nothing has changed except the survivors that they were playing, opting for a more male-dominated roster. Actually going to be playing and chasing Sweet Child first around a God Rock, which actually could be a very quick chase here, because remember, this is a very strong lead for Westwood, as we are going to see Sweet Child is going to be taking a tag. And remember, this is SA2 EU. Sorry, I had a little bit of trash there on my throat, but it's completely cleared and all gone. So now I have hopefully a clear enough voice to be able to cast this perfectly. But now Sweet Child in a little bit of danger. We're going to be charging the first bound. Now second bound not going to be coming through, just trying to get distance ahead of Sweet Child to zone them, which is a very smart decision to be using your bound. Therefore, opting to go for the long side, not playing around the check spot. Very smart decision for Sweet Child, but now he is going to be running actually completely away over towards the hill, maximizing his distance, which is another smart play. But it seems like this could be the end of his run here, as Sweetchild is actually able to dodge one, but not two, as they do get slammed against the rock for the first chase. Very well played by Sweetchild, but Wizzle did end up ending that there. And wait, they popped a gen within that first chase. That's way faster than what Trauma was able to perform there. That's really good for them, Edgar, and it seems like even a second one might come through.
That is true, but you also have to consider the slight difference in builds here. No Ruin Undying. Instead, it's going to be the pop remains, and it's going to get some absolutely absurd value on this generator right here, as weeJason decides, I'm just going to do a little bit of toxicity in order to get the killer to hate me. Minus rep on the Steam profile of weeJason, ladies and gentlemen. However, the Brutal, as we were establishing earlier, will make you a little more potent in chase, and also no one escapes death. Now, the issue you're running into is that, as Wizzle, you do not want to reach the endgame, because if you've reached the endgame, you've already lost. If you recall, last matchup ended with the weeJason on the Sinner's side, securing that 4K with one generator remaining. By the time the Noed comes into play, like, yeah, you've already lost. The reason some people might be considering, to prevent any kind of disadvantages or going second, or any advantages of going second, more so to speak, the builds are locked in before the match even begins. So Wizzle clearly had the idea that this would go to the endgame and was expecting that from the survivor side as well. However, didn't quite get there. And so instead, what you have to deal with is this situation where you are down your Noed the entire game.
Clearly did not expect to see the one and only powerful weeJason, a 4K at 1 gen. What?
The gens are flying, bro! What's happening?
I'm telling you, man, it seems like on the other side they actually have an experienced mechanic and not a bunch of hillbillies that only are sticking their hands inside of a motor for no reason and trying to figure out whether something.
I'd argue Hillbilly's pretty good. I'd argue Hillbilly's
Honestly,
right.
yeah, I feel like Hillbilly's the only hillbilly that actually is a slightly decent mechanic. After all, it is a farm boy, and he does know his way around chainsaws, so honestly would not be surprised.
Really fast. He can also run
unbelievably
really
fast. I'm surprised the guy's never entered any sports. No, he'd probably be like Ozzymoto from the Hunch of Notre Dame. People would laugh at him instead of actually being entertained at his insane abilities, you know?
What are we talking about?
Notre Dame, blah blah blah. DBD, sorry.
Dead by Daylight, yes. Wizzle is going to be so opted away from that corner gen with this one so much pressure, and now already Wizzle simply cannot win this game with 4 generators being completed, popped so quickly, and with 3 survivors remaining, it's almost impossible for the draw to actually come through here. So, I mean, it's not happened yet, but it is almost all but confirmed that Sinners are going to be able to manage this, and maybe you think that Wizzle's choice of Noed, obviously hindsight is 2020, but the choice is a little bit of a mistake on reaching the end game. I mean, I guess here's the question, Spectral. Even if you don't have the benefit of hindsight, is it wise to be taking Noed on a killer like Wesker? Because that means that you are kind of implying that you imagine that you're going to get to the end game. And Wesker's a strong enough killer where a half time, you should never get there.
Yeah, I feel like a very, very, very good play to tell a lot of people is, for God's sake, please do not at all play expecting to be weak. You always have to play expecting your strongest, aka you're expected. If you're a very strong killer, please play around the fact that you are most likely going to 4K, because right now we're seeing that big example. There was no perk there able to support him in any way, shape, or form that would at least let him, because remember, Noed is an endgame perk, and of course you have so much opportunity. You have a lot of perks to your disposal to be able to use effectively against the survivors. Like Pop goes to Weasel, which honestly wasn't a bad pick, but Ruin and other things, you know, Noed's just kind of a wasted slot. And now we're seeing Cafulio go down because of Noed, but it's already too late. Cafulio doesn't even have to, you know, care about the fact that we're actually looking at his down here, and very, very quickly at that. And yeah, 4K0 doesn't mean anything. They've already been 4K'd at 1. Sinners does take the set, which is very, very good for them, as now they're going to have a chance to take that tiebreaker set. But that does also bring up the question, how are they going to fare in their tiebreaker set? It's a Spirit.
Yeah, Spirit, I'm not entirely familiar with who on these teams plays the Spirit, but it's not something that we've actually been seeing a lot recently. I know that Rayoxian would be very happy to be here casting the Spirit set, however, got the other one instead. Unlucky, I guess. You snooze, you lose kind of situation. It might be interesting to kind of have a look at the balancing. The balancing of Spirit is considered a tier 1 killer, so is going to have same kind of rule limits as you would on characters such as Hillbilly, Blight, and Nurse. That involves the survivors being allowed certain perks, such as that allows the survivors being allowed a lot of very strong perks, such as their deliverances, their decisive strikes, their deadards. Though, actually, interestingly enough, for Spirit itself, deliverance is not going to be allowed. Neither are any kind of perks which are going to be able to mess with the Spirit's ability to track you down. So no Iron Will, no Lightweight, no Light-Footed, Parental Guidance, anything like that to allow yourself to stealth out a little bit. It's going to be interesting to see how these teams are willing to adapt to what is kind of uncharted territory. And Spectral is gone. Okay, never mind then. Well, okay then. Game is going to be ending up here, and you have to give credit where it's due to Sinners for putting in such a strong performance. I mean, it was one on the killer side. weeJason was just simply too strong. We really saw the value of agitation here. We were talking about the debate between those perks earlier, and if this is any indication that agitation can do you absolute wonders by giving you really oppressive hooks to have to deal with over brutal strength, which is going to buy you a little bit more time on certain pallet loops, the difference seems night and day. So we are going to be going into our tiebreaker set next on the Spirit. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very shortly.
Putz.
O que
A
aconteceu?
estrutura é o quê? É nascemos onde? Vamos lá.
Estrutura 6 e 7.
Esto es 8, ¿no? Estamos 8.
É, a gente tá no 8 e 9.
¿Sabes?
Não, a gente tá no 8 e no 9, a estrutura 7.
Tá, tá.
Tá, o déjà vu tá tudo open lá no 1, 2 e main. E 1, 2 e check, perdão.
Alguien tiene que ir para 7, alguien tiene que ir para 7. Switch, vai para 7. Ah, tá, tá.
Info do
Ele
Spirit?
quase me viu aqui no fundo, tá?
Tá, ele tá no 5, 6.
Tem que cair 8 7, tá?
Tá, me viu.
Tá procurando alguém, achou. Tá, vou pegar o G1.
Tá, tá. Eu tô indo no canto.
Tô indo pro 8. Give.
Info?
Não faço ideia.
8.
Tá.
Não, give. Tá 9, eu acho.
Tá,
Fez o
vou
9, eu acho.
Ele tá 9, ele tá 9, ele tá 9.
Tá, vou pegar fundo 1.
Procurando. Tá, tá, tá.
Peguei um normal. Ou ele
8
pega
5,
duplo.
ele tá 8 5, 8 5. Não pega dupla.
Não, give. Give.
Tá, tá.
Onde foi?
Vai negando info, Phenom, Cafulo. Tem que pegar 8, lembra?
Tá. Tá vindo aqui no 1.
Tá, tô stealth no 2.
Ah, ele me salva de mim.
Tá, tá. Tem que cair 8 7, Cafulo, tá?
Sim, tô entrando.
Você acha que chega? Não, não.
Sim, tô certo.
Tá, tá.
Não pode pen, né?
Não.
E o Carol 3, tá? Ela acabou com o loop. Não tem ring.
Ah, Hook Buster 4. Qual é o seu time, Phenom?
1.
Ele ia fazer Hook perto, Cafulo?
Vai fazer gancho. Tá indo pro 4, descendo 4. Tá, ele desistiu. Ele ia base desistiu. 7. Agora.
Tá, perfeito. Se ele vier no meu gente, aviso, você dá o
Face team? Não?
Fez pro 1.
Ok, tu agora.
Eu aviso o coração. Tá, ele deu pop no G no Cafulho, canto do 1. Voltou gancho. Voltando.
Não dá, né?
Tá. Fica quieto. Tá, toma aqui, Cafulo, e vai para Jack, tá? Dale, eu consigo tancar? Tá. Dai para Jack, tá.
Pode
Vou
dropar
para
insta, né?
88. Sí, dropa insta. Y cae para Phenom. Tem que caer no lugar do Phenom. Que o Phenom já pode baixo. Já pode Phenom, não?
Sim. Tá, o 3 agora é 3, 6 check.
Tá.
Eu vou tancar o hit pro Cafulho.
Já pode para 3.
Eu não desce.
Conseguiu.
Vai entender isso. Fácil,
Tá, aqui eu
Phenom.
não
Tem que
tinha
fazer.
Puta, que acaba dessa.
Tá, tu vai ter 10 pro último. Onde vocês estão, guys?
Eu curo.
Ele tá no canto do 1.
Phenom. Fiquei aqui. Depois pega 8, tá?
1, 2.
Ok.
Tá. Você, Phenom, pega 7 e
Ai,
switch pega
cara,
8.
exausto.
Tá. Pega 8 switch. E o Phenom pega
Tem
7.
9 também pra me pegar.
Pega 8. Ah, ok, pega 9. Tá.
Tá, a gente tá 7, 9 e o Cafuri ainda tem 10.
9 e 6, é 9 e 6 na verdade.
Tá.
Vai
Vou
enganchar no 1. Agora.
Ele é melhor? Não.
Não
Phase pro 7.
Vai pegar 8, Phenom. Você pega 8.
Tá, deu lit, ele errou phase em mim, pode salvar que ele tá muito longe. Sem phase, voltando agora andando.
Pega 8. Tenho que sacar value do hook, sim.
Tá, ele vai chutar o 7.
Pega 8, Phenom.
Eu vou startar hoje no fundo do 8. Tá 5%.
Tá na frente, check.
Tá, ele vai jogar...
Tá, se liga.
quatro,
A gente tá
sete.
deixando um trigen se a gente tirar esses 2 gens aqui.
Sim. Eu quando sale, você pega 7 de novo, Phenom, tá? Aí 7 agora, Phenom.
Tá, fui 7.
Tá na frente,
O trigen é no hook exatamente onde o Cafulho tá. 7, 4 e check.
Sim.
Olha eu tenho aqui.
Só
Para
desce,
3,
desce.
sim. Tá,
Você tem Unbreakable? Tá, eu posso te
Sim.
curar.
Deixa ele dar um break pra pegar um dupla 7. Ele tem.
Mas tenho que fazer pick-up. Sim.
Tá, eu te levanto.
Tem o
Ele
DH,
sabe do
tá
seu
usando
DH?
merda aqui, velho.
Aham.
Não.
Eu acho que ele não vai esperar, não.
Ai, de novo exausto, velho.
Tá, relaxa. Tá, tenta
Tá,
falar
pega
pra onde...
8?
Tenta falar pra onde ele vai. Eu pego 8?
Não.
tá.
Tenta negar info, tal ele comenta em mim, não sei se me...
Agora perdi visão total visão.
Tá,
Fez pro... Ah, não sei.
Faz 7.
tá. Heartbeat 7, guys.
Peguei 8, tem sprint.
Ele tá no... Ele me viu? Ele me viu. Tá, eu subi 7. Eu vou voltar. Eu desço do lit.
Tá.
Acho que ele cometa. Não? Chutou já em spa.
Ou posso curar você 2, Phenom.
Tá, tô indo 2. Fez em mim.
Tá.
Não tem phase pra chegar em mim. Tô no canto 2.
Eu tô indo no pallet do 2, tá? Cai no forro, joga no forro.
Tá, eu tô jogando na pallet. Morreu.
Ok. Eu tô pra seguir.
Tá. Gancho na frente da check. No 2-5. Não, ele vai querer gridar o próximo no 4 aqui com agitation. Eu aviso o switch pra onde ele vai. Ele vai levar no fundo do 4. Subindo pro 4, andando, indo pra check. Tá querendo ir em você, Switch. Tá andando, chegando no 5-8. Olhando pros lados, voltou pra ver se acha o Jason. Desceu pro 2.
Depois pega
Tá no meu lado aqui no 1. Voltou pra mim.
Ele tá no auto.
Sim, tá no meu lado, começando a subir de novo agora. Tá, ele olhou o Gen da check e ele sabe que a gente não tá... Ele sabe onde tá todo mundo agora, sabe que tem um save. Viu você passando, o Switch, ele tá procurando o Jason agora.
Só sai daqui com hit.
Tá. Info?
Ele tá na jungle. Phase.
Fez mim.
Sale. Tá, eu curo.
Volta.
Ok, tem meio visita, Phenom. Tem meio visita.
Tá no lich ainda. Gift of Pain. Fechou a build dele já?
Tá, comenta em mim.
Tá, eu vou...
É pop, agitation.
Tá, se foi pra cima, eu vou ter que acertar check.
Eu fui pra Shaq.
Tá.
Não. Eu vou querer Shaq.
Não tem dele, né?
Tem um break.
Não tem dele, não tem dele.
Comentou. Pick.
Tá. Eu vou ficar pro save do Jason. É base isso?
Não, vai ser meio um hook. Tá, vai começar Shaq, Phenom. O switch joga pra você. Começa Shaq.
Tá, tô bem na bosta aqui na check se ele me dá o phase.
Switch, tenta fazer intercept. É o melhor. Tá, pouco um cara. Ele vai chutar 7. Ele não tirou facing, tá procurando um pouco por canto. Voltou. Frente. Tá yendo por la pallet. Tá na pallet, tá indo Shaq tal vez. Sale a switch. Ven. Foi Shaq, Phenom. Shaq, como você.
Tá, tem um lich aqui.
Tá. Pega 70. Voltou. Tá,
Pega hit me no fundo 2.
tá uma dupla Shaq.
Check.
Ok. Eu fui para 3. Tá, tem que ir para dupla, tal vez por pouco. Tá na Shaq? 8 e 6.
Heartbeat check ainda.
Estou.
Foi pro 7.
3 não é?
Tá indo pro 4 agora. A gente não reseta isso aqui não, 1 minuto.
Não. Tô indo F, Phenom.
9, tá. Só vou tirar a regressão do Gen.
Tá.
Tirei a regressão. Tô indo pro 9.
Tá.
Na forlane do 9 aqui?
Eu caio fundo, eu caio fundo. Não cai. Pera, corrente lagada. Me deslugou. Ele tá achando que vocês vão pra fazer dupla.
Tá, a gente deixa a 9-9 aqui.
No puede, ten something.
Então deixa eu te curar. Ah, já curou. Control.
Amigo. Fui para 7.
Tá, eu vou agressivo pro switch. Ele tem
No,
você?
cuidado. Sí, comitó.
Tá. Já vem pra mim, switch.
Tá, fui para ahorita. Facing.
Tá, eu levanto ele bem de boa.
Tengo un break, tá? Pick. Tá.
Ok, ele sabe.
Ok, solucionado.
Ai, switch, fica estável no canto do 1 aqui igual um maluco, que eu vou passar lá pra ele salvar o Jason e tu vai pegar o Jay numa brecha que você tiver. Se não der brecha, paciência.
Basement.
Tá.
Tá. Eu vou ficar pra pegar o 7.
Tem que agresivar igual, basement.
Tá. Eu saio correndo, não, maluco. Vou pegar o
Facing.
Ele tá no 4. Vou descer a base agora.
Comigo 7.
Sim, eu salvei.
Eu vou pro full fundo, fundo. Give, voltou.
Eu salvo.
Tá andando. Phase.
Armário, mano?
Sí. ¿Cuánto está 7?
20.
Tá.
Tá, eu sou fresh, eu vou tentar fazer alguma coisa. Tá?
O seu escape fresh vai negar o fresh dele?
Como assim? Ah, não faz diferença, né?
Se você, eu não sei, se você escapar pelo portão pela hatch e não ter o teu fresh, muda?
Faz diferença, sí, faz.
Tá, então vamos jogar pelo seu escape. Onde que você tá?
Pera, eu tô...
Igual ele tá pra jogar.
Tô 8. Tô fundo 8.
Tá, ele tá, não desce ainda, eu tô no 6. Ele tá procurando no 3. Eu acho que ele me viu. Tô na pica.
Tem dinheiro.
Oi?
Tem dinheiro.
Alguém fez dele. Ele quebrou a pallet e eu vou ter que subir 9, tá, Switch?
Tá.
Só se cura aí. Ele me guivou? Guivou. Tá, eu subo 9 agora. Não, ele não me guivou. Sai do 9, Switch. Só sai do 9.
Tá. Tô fazendo um totem no 7.
Tá, ele me slugou. Eu já vou rastejar, tá? Eu não vou perder tempo. Só joga pelo seu escape e me ignora. Ele tá andando pelo 5-8 agora, talvez indo pro 7. Cuidado. Indo pro 7. 7-4. Não vejo mais, tá?
Tem info dela? Quando você
Não
pega
faço
info dela, vai
ideia,
pro armário.
não faço ideia. Tá, tô tentando encontrar ela aqui.
Tá, entrei no locker.
Cara, eu acho que ele tá te procurando no 1, porque eu caí 9.
Tá, tem info de porta, Phenom? Não? Três.
Tá, não tem portão 9, não tem portão 6, tem um portão... Ela tá no 3 procurando. Eu tô rastejando pro 3, porque quando o 3 ela me viu, ela talvez vá 7 agora, tá? Cuidado. Em cima do Rei Leão, indo reto em você, cuidado.
Eu acho que ele é.
Viu?
Tá fixado, você pode fazer ele para você. Tá 7-3 a porta. É legal. Tenta near info com fixado.
Não, ela não me viu.
Acho que alguém falou para ele.
Não.
É quase metade do meu bleed out. A gente tem... Existe um mundo se você estafar mais tempo aí. Você tem item pra dropar? Tem item pra dropar, Switch?
Tem, mas ela me achou, acho. Não.
Tá, cuidado com o corvo, tá?
Tem que tentar fazer o trauma tag, tá?
Sim, é isso que eu tô tentando fazer. Indo pra 1.
Ele foi para 9, Phenom, acho.
Ele foi pra 9 agora? Tá, eu vou dar recover, Switch.
Tá. Info?
Não faço ideia. Ah, tá canto 3, eu vi o cabelinho dela canto 3. Não vi mais. Fez em mim. Fez literalmente em mim. Me achou. Não me pegou. Quebrou a pallet. Pegou.
Eu fico pega o portão e pega a hatch.
Portão é muito difícil nesse mapa. Muito difícil. Eu jogaria pela hatch. Tá, ela fez o gancho no 4. Tá andando pra cheque, direto pra cheque. A hatch tá no lado oposto, tá? Pra onde você tá vendo. Ela tá no lado do Rei Leão, animação no struggle. Em cima do Rei Leão. Tá, eu já vou soltar, tá? Soltei o primeiro. Pode ir, que já vai vir seu cheque. Fica aí. Vai vir agora, morri.
Se gana.
Meu Deus.
Nice switch, vamos.
No, o Wizzle se colocó no peor lugar posible. Él erró por mucho. Él no erró
Nice
por poco,
switch.
erró por mucho.
Maçou, mano.
Nice, garotinho.
No, pero falando en serio, él erró por mucho.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sinners are on the precipice of taking their first set of the tournament today, but Wizzle may just have something to say about it on the Spirit instead. I am Egda, joined by Spectral, and already we see Wizzle going for a very cheeky hit there, trying to get that one through. Looking at the build, it's nothing totally unexpected. There is going to be the combo, that agitation alongside the gift of pain, so not a skill trick that we see all that often. That is going to allow some slowdown on healing, which is always going to be beneficial for the Spirit. And then even if you do actually get that heal off, then that survivor is going to suffer a little bit of a gen slowdown penalty at the same time. But you need to get your first hit in, and you need to get it in soon, and there it is, onto Cthulhu. Spirit against a completely uninjured, healthy survivor isn't going to be all that effective, but once the survivor is injured, they start leaking blood, they start making a whole lot of noise. It's almost too easy. It's almost too easy to lock them down. You need to avoid that first hit against Spirit at all costs, but when they're phasing around the map, going here, there, absolutely bloody everywhere, it could just be far too difficult to deal with.
Definitely, man. And now we're actually going to be seeing Wizzle grabbing that first down onto Cthulhu. Which, honestly, I do want to mention, it seems like Wizzle might have a slight bit of an EQ, because I know for a fact spectator POV is sometimes a little bit louder than the actual POV of some in-game players. Now, unsure as to whether Wizzle uses an EQ or not, and I know a lot of people have, brought that to question.
Such a fast heal.
Good.
Such
Wait,
a fast heal onto Cthulhu.
that might have been like we'll make it with medkit, or maybe like desperate. I'm unsure at all. I mean, I'd love to go check, but right now we got to keep our focuses on this guy right now being chased with Dead Hard and DS also in the question. Maybe going to be looking at a very quick chase here, but of course an even longer output, because right now, I mean, keep in mind we're looking at oh my, wait, he makes that? That is insane. Now coming in with support from his survivor teammate. That's going to be Phenom taking a tag right now for Cthulhu. Cthulhu is not going to be taking distance. Instead going to be pre-dropping this pallet. Very good play there. Pre-dropping it on the right side as they are completely lost. But now forced into a 50-50 situation with not any time left on their DS for it to matter. And it is going to run out, meaning that Cthulhu is just going to have to save it for the second state, which arguably, Edgar, is so much better than using it on the first state, especially in the situation we're in right now. As we're looking at 2 gens popped, pressure about to be going off onto these gens. However, it is starting freshly, so not too much for Trauma to be completely, considered out of the game just yet. But this is definitely a super big chance for Sinners to actually take this set, especially with the situation they're in.
I'm actually really interested there as to why Cthulhu didn't use the Dead Hard. Did have it on account of already having been on the hook. I don't believe had used the bounce landing and was already exhausted, and with the lunge there was plenty of time to react, so it seemed more like a conscious decision to not use Dead Hard. But that could look quite a risky final chase, because you only have so much time that decisive strike is going to last. Now, we do know that Cthulhu is the prime target, right? That's without a shadow of a doubt, but if in chase you end up using that Dead Hard, you could end up almost making too much time and then not having the decisive strike to be able to deal with now. Now, with the hits coming through onto weeJason, Cthulhu's still going to be the one that Wizzle wants to deal with. And going down on this pallet is going to have the decisive strike for this pickup, so not really going to be minding for the time being. And I guess the idea is to now use the Dead Hard when
because he doesn't know.
on top of him. Yeah.
He doesn't know. He didn't know because the last chase didn't include Dead Hard, meaning that he's going to have a chance to hit it off right now, but he's going to need it. No Dead Hard coming through, and that's Cthulhu going down without being able to use the one perk that would have saved him there so much. Good lord, that is actually going to be very unfortunate for Sinners, as the idea of a perfect game was not shown to us here because of that one Dead Hard play, which is going to be so unfortunate, Edgar, because honestly, I would like to blame it on Ping, but it looked like he had so much time there to react, you know? That's just so unfortunate.
I mean, blink and you miss it, I guess, and now Wizzle's able to just pile the pressure onto everyone else. weeJason and Phenom are injured up. If they do get put on any of these Gurchaks, they are going to have to deal with the Mangled as well, which is just going to be even more time wasted if you do want to heal them up. weeJason, I mean, you already saw the effects from weeJason dealing with that damage, and Phenom this time just getting caught out in a very interesting spot. Regression does come through onto one of the generators with Eruption. Phenom is going to get this hook through, but Sweet Child has the gen that they themselves are working on, which is about 70-80% completed now, likely going to be done any second now. And what do we think about this Gift of Pain decision? Obviously, you are restricted as a killer, but why Gift of Pain here, as opposed to maybe a different kind of allowed
just
regression?
Sloppy Butcher. I mean, Gift of Pain. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of people, holy Edgar, let me mention this. A lot of people talk smack about a lot of the casters here because they say, oh, but these guys don't play the game or they don't understand how this works. We don't see these perks. Like, this is the first time I've ever seen Gift of Pain. Like,
that is true. When is the last time you've seen Gift of Pain in a pub map? It doesn't really matter. The point is, I guess it tries to combine the anti-healing effect of Sloppy Butcher as well as a little bit of extra gen regression. All things that work pretty well, especially with the hemorrhage, to also give yourself some more pools of blood to look at, which is always going to be valuable on the Spirit, where you have to rely not so much on where the survivors are, but any marks, any blood trails they may be leaving, as well as the sound of their screams. And using it very effectively there to catch David in the act, put weeJason on the hook, and tag them up with the effects of the Gift of Pain as well.
Now, one thing I do need to mention, and actually keep in mind, this is a 3-gen, and this is not an easy 3-gen to play around. We're looking at a Spirit on a 3-gen where the 3-gens are, I can't really say numbers, but they are fairly close to each other, with one or two of them being on the corner of the map and one of them being in Shack. It's so close to each other. It's just a tight net of just phasing a little bit more and more, and just over and over again until they finally find a survivor in an easy chase. It's just continuously chipping away at the survivors. That's the strategy that Wizzle's going for. And that's a very smart strategy if you ask me, because eventually you're going to find situations like this where weeJason and Phenom are going to be completely resetting, and Sweet Child's going to be completely found out of position, as now we're actually going to be looking at them completely running over towards the opposite side of the map, forced into a phase walk right now, as we're actually going to be seeing them move over towards the edge filler. Now, a bit of a mistake on Wizzle's side, as they did not see them and actually understand that that was not the edge filler that they wanted to go to, but Sweet Child is actually going to go down and not going to be able to drop that pallet in time, waiting for the eruption, as the survivors are seemingly not going to be resetting just yet, unless that's Gift of Pain reducing it by a considerable amount, which actually seems to be the case, as now is going to be an opportunity for Wizzle to find the reset, which does end up happening. Going to be running into the killer, phasing in and out of reality. The Spirit is going to sneak up on weeJason, which is going to be incredibly unfortunate. Now going to be vaulting the window and chasing after them, as they're going to be going over towards the T-wall and over towards the truck. Wait, maybe opting to use the... There is no edge tile, and tries to spin him there, but unfortunately weeJason is going to go down, and that is going to be another hook added to Wizzle's stages.
It's all on Phenom. It's all on Phenom now. Phenom has to do the absolute Lord's work right now. He's going to be doing it, picking up Sweet Child. But now what? Do you have the time to reset? Do you want to try and bully out some gen some more? Do you want to just go into the corner of the map and cry and give up because Wizzle is putting on such a clinic right now? As you said earlier, this 3-gen is so brutal to have to deal with, and it's that constant back and forth battle of, do you take the time to reset and let the gens regress all the way with Eruption? Or do you just try and bully them out and leave yourself so vulnerable? weeJason is actually going to get unhooked right now, but this is almost just going to guarantee another bit of impact here to try and select which is the correct locker. No more decisive strike. No more decisive strike here. So that is just going to be weeJason dying there.
Good
I mean,
lord.
hey, hey, Wizzle tossed the coin and guessed correctly, I suppose. But it's creative from the survivors to force Wizzle into that 50-50, I guess.
I'm not gonna lie, that was actually really funny because we don't see, like, keep in mind, I'd like to say that DBD League is the most diverse league I've ever seen when it comes to plays like these, because I've never seen these plays even in other tournaments, and people consider DBD League to be the most serious tournament. Do not get me wrong, it is. But that does not mean that we have not seen things like this before. I mean, we've seen like this in pubs. This is not a pub match. This is a comp match. This is customs. And right now we're seeing these people doing these super silly plays. It's so amazing to watch. It adds a lot of, good lord. Let me finish my thought. It adds a lot of brightness. It just makes it more comfortable. Because we want to see a serious game, but that doesn't mean, like, in a serious game, if you see somebody do a funny play, you gotta laugh at it. It lightens the mood, you know? But now, Wizzle does grab the down onto Phenom, Sweet Child being the last survivor standing, meaning that they are actually not going to be found here as they're on the completely opposite side of the map, which is very good for Sweet Child now. Whether Sweet Child decides to go for the save or not is a complete question that is actually brought up to all of us. That is smart.
Gotta heal up first with inner strength. That's going to be a pretty wise play there. Having yourself healthy means that you have more options. You can kind of force yourself through to get the pick up onto Phenom, should you so wish. There's also the option of the fact that you are now... It's a lot easier to hide. You're not going to be making any noise. You're not going to be emitting any blood pools. If instead you want to hide and make a play for the hatch, that's also doable, as Wizzle priorities right now are not allowing that to happen, trying to find Sweet Child, put an end to this here and now, get as many stages as you can out of this. But it's gonna be a long day at the office. Something's got to give. Either Sweet Child is going to get found here by Wizzle, who seems to be pretty dangerously close. I mean, when Sweet Child got rid of that totem, it did kind of ping where they were. Right now, it's been a hot minute since then, but Wizzle seems to be looking around that area. Sweet Child instead just slowly trying to move out of it.
Now, this could be difficult. This could be very difficult because now we're seeing Wizzle walk into the area that Sweet Child is in. Will Sweet Child be found out, or will they be able to stealth? Oh my god, he's literally at that wall right there. No way, he moved even further. This is much more risky. Oh, but he doesn't get found. This is amazing.
This is a horror film. Spectral, this is a horror film from the
my
survivor
God.
POV. like hearing that phase and not knowing, yes,
whether
like,
they're going closer to you or not. Oh my God.
like like a spirit phase is somewhat directional, always has been, but like it's still really strange to think exactly. Yeah, it's not that great. It's just terrifying to hear the phase noise, not know really where it is. Phenom has been found again on the floor. Wizzle seems to be committing here, so wants to get this hook. He's actually going to be taking it closer. He's actually going to be taking it closer to the shack, simply so that there is the option to shut the hatch whenever it need be. I do believe that there is an offering on to spawn the hatch at the shack. The issue you have is that both the survivor and the killer knows this.
Now, a big play that could be done here is something that we've seen in comp a lot, and it's very well known as one thing: body blocking. Now, whether they're going to be able to body block each other or not is completely up to this side, because we do know Killer has ultimate priority no matter what. The most extreme priority over the survivor when they're on top of the hatch. Now going to be seeing Sweet Child in front of Wizzle. This actually could be a block. This is a complete 50-50 on deciding whoever gets inside of the hatch, and it seems like it is going to be Sweet Child as they stand up and body block them perfectly. Good lord, very well played by Sinners, getting a 1 out there, and that is actually crucially what they're going to need there roughly to win, because Spirit can be a 4K killer, and even with that tough 3-gen, that is something that is going to get the game in such a good position for them. That might just be what they need to take this tiebreaker and finally win their first game, but that is going to be very, very difficult, because I'm not going to lie to you, man. This is Trauma we're talking about, and they are fairly good against Spirit, so we're going to have to see how Sinners is going to respond to this and who is actually going to kill for the side of Sinners. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to be it for the very first game of the tiebreaker. We will see you with the second game after our intermission and these hopefully short messages. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to officially yet unofficially the final game of DBD League, as we are watching not the final game, not as in like grand finals, but you know, final game of this game of Sinners versus Trauma. Now, very exciting matches. This is actually going to be a very difficult win condition. Edgar, if you'd like to update us on what exactly the win condition is, because I'm honestly gonna admit to you right now, I had it in my head and then it just completely disappeared.
So from what I recall, the Sinner survivors, they managed to have 9 hook stages with 4 generators completed and 3 fresh hooks. So what we're looking at for weeJason, to guarantee your win, a 4K with 1 gen remaining, that would get you the win. If you're the survivors, you're essentially looking to complete all 5 generators. Things can get a bit more complicated than that if we're dealing with more hatch work again, if we're dealing with some other shenanigans, but right now the simple thing is this. If the 4K can come out with only 1 generator remaining, then weeJason wins this, and Sinner take their first win of the entire tournament so far. If not, if all of the generators are completed, then it is going to be Trauma dashing their hopes here just a little bit. But with an Inja coming out onto Grenau here, you have to be feeling pretty good if you're a Sinners fan. This is a pretty strong start to get off with. You've already gotten your hook onto Autumn Sadness, but now you're actually chasing Grenau. Is there a reason that you're chasing Grenau here and not necessarily going for the tunnel out on Autumn Sadness, as would be the standard?
Probably going to be just going for the fresh hooks, because remember, now, I do need to mention this. Incredibly important if this does work out in his favor. weeJason doesn't have to 4K. I mean, he could let somebody get out through hatch at 1 gen remaining. Now, the question is, how many stages is that survivor going to have? They did get a complete fresh hook out of through the hatch. So meaning that if the survivor that gets out through hatch in this game has even 1 hook on top of them, that's going to be a win for the Sinners, and is finally going to be the ultimate decider, something that we finally need. But a big difficulty has been presented to us as we are looking at so much pressure coming through on top of these gens. Now Trauma is actually looking at an even easier state as they do end up breaking Hex Ruin, which is actually probably going to be enough for them to pop these gens. 1 gen's about to pop, another one is coming a long way, dropping medkit down for some reason, but it seems like that 1 gen that we were talking about is about to be interrupted as weeJason does end up hooking ESC right very close to where Swatter is currently, you know, chilling at. He's right now over at the dumpsters, and weeJason does not know anything about that because he's checking the wrong side, and they have completely stealthed away, which is very, very good of Swatter. Now, 2 gens have popped, meaning that 3 gens are remaining, 2 stages on the board, and there is still a lot of potential for this game to actually go anywhere. But one slight mistake here from both sides, Edgar, is really going to be the ultimate decider, I feel like, because if just, let's see, somebody messes up a 1-for-1, or weeJason commits way too long in a chase, or ends up missing a swing, or ends up missing his tunnel out, that's probably going to be the ultimate decider here. I mean, we've seen it so much before.
And honestly, I feel like as the survivors here, your biggest thing is to just avoid the 3 gen at all costs. The survivors in the last game, honestly, were putting up a pretty good showing until it got to that last generator, and they clearly hadn't managed the gens well enough, were stuck in a really horrific 3 gen, and they simply couldn't put any more pressure on, and they got It's almost like a godsend that they actually got that. It's almost a bit of a godsend that at the very end of it, they managed to get the hatch play to come through, right? Anyway, weeJason still going to be moving around here, utilizing that eruption now that Ruin is gone, so you're never going to be out of regression here if you're weeJason. You had your Ruin for the early game, and now as we get more into the mid-game of things, Esk actually hitting second stage. Esk hitting second stage. Grenout is going to be spotted out here. 1-for-1 trade on this hook going to be quite likely, unless Grenout just doesn't, I guess. And now over here you have a survivor occupied not on a gen, a survivor hooked, 2 gens which can't be worked on because of the pressure coming out. I mean, surely Grenout just has to go for the 1-for-1 here.
But this is actually going to prove to be an issue, as now 3 gens have exploded. Or sorry, was that 3 or just 2? Honestly, I didn't pay attention. I was stuck thinking about a potential 3-gen eruption. But now, brought to us, Grenout is going to be slugged. Very good play there from ESC, but the Dead Hard does end up coming out, and there's not going to be any. Wait, what? How does that miss, and how does that not get it down? 2 gens now remaining, as the 3rd gen does end up popping. Last gen remaining, as he's now actually required to get a, just a win out of this. He needs to keep this 3-gen, and he does have an actually fairly good 3-gen. Now, one of them is farther, and it's not the same one as before, but Edgar, I think this is possible. It's just going to have to require a lot of effort.
Whatever amount of money that we're paying weeJason, it isn't enough. Needs to absolutely go off the goop here in order to get the win out. Grenout going to be stalling for a little bit longer in this corner, and now every single second counts. If weeJason can get these kills through, if weeJason is able to get these kills through, then it's good. But Swatter actually has deja vu on this middle gen as we're approaching 70% progress over there. The Ada is going to be crouching in the center now. Eruption can... Yeah, they're playing very safe right now, Survivors. They know their win condition. They only need a single generator completed in order to take this series. And actually going to be getting the rescue through onto Grenout. Now you just need to have some good chases that can last you for a while, you know? But now that you're leaving the pressure from these survivors, it means that they're able to split up and even work on some of these further gens as well, and just give weeJason too many things to have to think about.
This is actually very difficult because I just realized something. He doesn't have pressure on any survivor in this moment. I mean, you've already said this, but like, we need to put more emphasis on the fact that right now he's just completely lost sight of both Grenout, Autumn Sadness, and now grabbing and tag onto Swatter, only a chance as that gen is still regressing. This is actually exactly what he needs, but no, he's not going to be committing to Swatter. Instead, he's going to be going after Grenout. Grenout always in the corner of the map, stuck behind a pallet, now going to be shown out using what seems to be sprint burst to get a lot of distance, which is actually going to be sprint burst. He's making his way over towards a much safer tile, but just trying to get further away from the gen. Vaulting that, he's going to go down. Eruption affecting that gen. That's going to be the explosion and the regression of 7%, but they're resetting. Wait, this is slightly... No, I'd like to say this is more of a tie in game standards because, you know, they get 2 resets out. Someone's on hook. There's not exactly too much pressure on the survivors at the moment, thanks to them not being injured. But there's also a regression going out on the gens, so it's kind of just like a draw. He still does have to play careful, however, because, you know, draws don't exactly mean that it is in your favor. Right now, Swatter looking to rat out this gen with Deja Vu. Since 3 gens are remaining, every single gen that they work on will have a bunch of speed on top of it. And with that being said, Edgar!
No. They found the Ada, and this is so key because remember what we were talking about, the fresh hooks. Ada is that last fresh hook. Essentially, if Ada gets hooked here, which is going to happen, okay, the draw is no longer possible. Put simply, this game cannot be drawn. Is actually not going to go for the unhook on Swatter. There's a for the people out onto Grenout with Autumn Sadness taking the injury. What world are we living in, Spectral? I'm losing my mind. I thought I was ill by today just by virtue of getting out of bed, but no, this gameplay, like, what's happening?
I have no idea, bro. I'm honestly completely lost. This is exactly what Sinners needs. They're about to win this, but here, I do also want to mention, thanks to one of our lovely staff members here mentioning it to us via a message, we are seeing that Ada is the ultimate decider for this game. as if they want to get a tie, Ada cannot be found here. And that's also saying that Ada is an actual fresh hook, meaning that if they are going to get 4K'd here, they need to get her out no matter what, and that is going to be difficult with her injured, and that is also going to be difficult with weeJason having this insane amount of pressure on top of these gens. Now, chasing after Autumn Sadness, which could be a very quick chase, but unfortunately he's not going to have enough phase to commit to it. Swatter is going to be healed, and now moving in towards Shaq to make sure that it is regressing. It is, and now we have to look for our other survivors, who are most likely going to be moving over towards this side of the map to try and do it. But dude, this hill is so good. Like, that RNG could not be more perfect, man.
It also helps that Swatter, who, interestingly enough, is, as we say, the one survivor right now who cannot be found, is also running Urban Evasion. Just to be extra stealthy, a little more harder to detect, can get around the map with some ease, hide from weeJason. So, the panic is now over. Swatter didn't end up getting hooked despite going down, so a little bit of a beef from weeJason there. I mean, it's not like we figured out that, you know, the 3 stages onto Swatter would win Sinners the game. So maybe the survivors didn't either. But point is, Swatter's fine and healthy, and this game is slowing down to an agonizing crawl right now. Something has got to give between these sides. It seems like the gen progress on both these sides is just going to be falling to about 0% on the whole side.
Yeah, and now looking
Oh,
at
you've been
Swatter and
found.
Chase, this could be a very, very, very bad case for Trauma to actually get this out, because remember, Swatter is the one survivor that they cannot have currently hooked, but they do have a chance to get at least the last gen done, and for them to get at least the 1 out through the gate, because I feel like even they want to guarantee it as much as possible. They definitely don't want to put it as close as before. Now, this is a big opportunity. Swatter is wasting a lot of time here with this one jungle gym pallet. Now going to be phasing, using his crouch against him. Swatter wins another 50-50. Now forced to leave and go back towards his gens, which might not even be enough time, because remember how far away these gens are. Shaq does not have enough progress for weeJason to be worried at all, but now going to be forced to go on top of the hill to see which gen is bringing progress. That is going to be the gen all the way over there. Wait, no. Not enough.
There's barely any progress. They're playing so safe right now, Spectral. They do
way
not
too safe.
Yeah, I mean, like, Swatter was doing absolute miracles in that chase, but the gen pressure not there from Altstanus or Grenau. Obviously, everything that we're saying about Swatter being the golden goose, the one that cannot get hooked, that doesn't mean anything if, sorry, with Swatter being the one who can't get hooked. If Autumn Sadness and Grenau are able to complete a gen in that time frame that Swatter is absolutely juicing the killer, it doesn't matter, and now Grenau is going to be dead, and now you only have 2 more survivors remaining, and things are looking worse and worse for Trauma right now.
Definitely.
This is still anyone's game, but the pendulum is swinging very solidly in the favor of Sinners.
This is definitely not going to be easy. And I say that with confidence because the survivors are way too passive at this moment. Now, a lot of people need to know that playing... Oh my god.
Oh no.
No. But wait. This isn't the worst thing. Remember, they still do have the chance to tie. Because Autumn is being chased. But
yeah,
wait.
Autumn's the one that's being chased, but, like...
Slugging.
This is assuming... Yeah, this is assuming that as Spirit also learns how to teleport a la the nurse, I mean, I was going to say, do you think that weeJason would be happy to just give this up and not find where Swatter is, not hunt him down to the ends of the earth? This game is getting more and more bizarre world as time goes on. It is really coming down to the wire. It is a game of inches right now. Swatter needs to hide for all of Autumn Sadness's bleed out timer, and then also needs to win the hatch 50-50. Again, assuming that Swatter doesn't get caught in this time. Yeah. I mean, we're looking at a best case scenario tie right now for Trauma. This game is solidly in the hands of the Sinners. They are so close to taking this series. They are so close to taking their first win of the tournament, causing a huge upset here today, and it is coming down to the absolute wire, Spectral. Enough with Swatter!
Oh my god, Swatter gets found out at the last second. Now, in a very dire situation, requiring to at least get up and somehow maybe get this back.
There
That
it
is
is.
not going to happen with such an amazing face.
Sinners! They did it! Sinners have won! Sinners 0-4 coming into this matchup. 0-4.
Pay up. You
Yeah,
said you were all for trauma, and I said I was all for Sinners. See, I put love out there to my South Americans. Obviously, they probably don't speak the same language as me, but hey, hopefully we both know Spanish, right? Well played. Good
What are
lord.
you? I don't even know what's happening anymore, man. Look, point is, Sinners have gotten their first win of the tournament. Now, it might be a consolation prize at the end of the day. It did come in rather late. What impact it will have on the grand scheme of things is likely to be relatively insignificant, but a win is a win at the end of the day, and Sinners are going to be so happy about this one. Like, you can just tell, and finishing this up as well with the pick onto Autumn Sadness to secure that 4K at the very end right now. Really phenomenal play from weeJason, but also I feel like the Trauma survivors, they almost played a bit too safe, you know? Like, yes, you understand that you have to be protecting Swatter. That's without a shadow of a doubt. But also, Swatter was doing so well in chase, and there was time for Autumn Sadness and Grenout to finish a gen on the other side of the map and get the win. But they didn't do it. That's a universe which we're not looking into right now. And congratulations to Sinners for their win.